So anyway, guys, I was walking through the jungle with my machete. Oh, we're live. Hey, guys, what's going on? Welcome. It is season 5, episode number 274 of America's favorite quality of life improvement podcast. It is time for the Caliber Corner. It's Saturday. It's 8 a.m. Central Time. Why aren't you awake? Why aren't you with us? You should be watching this right now. You should be sitting there with your bowl of Captain Crunch or your toaster strudels, just listening away right now. You know, looking to see what good guns are for sale online, what kind of ammo is for sale online. But anyway, that'll be a discussion for a different time. Today, we're talking about Winchester Firearms, the past, the present, the future. And before we do that, I've got a star-studded panel joining us today. We got fantastic people that are joining in. You should go over and then subscribe to their channel, watch them. You should become patrons of theirs, even if they aren't. So anyway, we're going to get started introducing the panel, give a little shout out on the YouTube side and fire it up. So Squibload is joining us this morning. Squibload, you've got a busy day today. What's going on, Squibload? What's up?
Yeah, I gotta leave you guys because gotta leave in about an hour to get on the road. Gain a little bit of time because we're going to your time zone, Travis. So we're the confused.
That's right. That's where good things happen.
Time.
And what good things going to happen today?
Well, roll call 219 is finally tying the knot. He's getting hitched. Yep. So we're going over there to support friends. You know.
That's right. He's going to need some support. Tell him that the car's running and I can run him to Mexico in like 24 hours if he needs it. I'll be right out front, fueled up, ready to go. I've got our passports. We can make it happen, man. I got friends in low places that we can hide him if we need to. So just let him know, okay? All right. So roll call. We're here for you, buddy. If you need that, we're here for you. So anyway, there's a very important question that's posted for today's poll. It has nothing to do with today's episode. And by the way, we had somebody leave a comment on last week's podcast that said, you guys strayed too far off topic. You, sir, don't understand how this podcast works. We go off topic all the time. So if you don't like down the rabbit hole discussions on donuts and coffee, don't hang out with us, okay? That's a bunch of bros hanging around. Sometimes we cover what's important. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to single you out, but you know who you are. And your comments up there for the world to see. So anyway, it's a joke. I really don't. I'm just saying that, yeah, we're not. I try to stay topic-centric, topic-focused, you know, because I want to keep the discussion lively. But these things happen. Sometimes we talk about our favorite brand of Slim Jim or how long should you wear socks before you really throw them away? I mean, these are things that are important to men, all right? If you can't handle that, then don't hang, all right? Anyway, so there's a poll posted. What should Squibload wear to Roll Call's wedding? Do we want the tactical pink salmon polo with khakis, McCluskey style? Is that what you said?
McCluskey style, yes.
It's called low ready. Low ready is what we call that loadout. Okay, that's called low ready, the low ready loadout. Or does he go with the blue collar, literally blue collar button down shirt with khakis? So that's more like a Gap style is what I'm thinking, more of like a mid 90s, you know, Gin Blossoms kind of, you know, Friends kind of look, which is cool. I'd go tactical salmon because, you know, it's very vibrant. It's very energetic. It's very exciting. And it's very hip right now. Young people everywhere are wearing neon colors because the 80s are back. Well, love it or hate it. It's neon's cool again. It's okay to wear pastels. You can be a confident male and wear pastel in public. I mean, it's totally a cool thing. So, guys, make sure you vote. We got to check the polls here before Squibby goes so he knows exactly what clothes to grab on the way out.
Yeah, we'll be leaving in an hour or less, and I'll come back and I'll check the poll at some point. But you know, it's a fashion conundrum. It really is because the blue dress shirt kind of goes good with anything, but you know, the tactical salmon McCloskey thing is, you know, what the low ready that's
dude,
kind
of
grown
show
on
up
me.
there, and people are gonna be like, who is that high roller? I mean, seriously, who is that guy? Was he in Grand Theft Auto? He might have been. Was he out front of his home in St. Louis? It might have been him. We don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna think I'm a St. Louis lawyer or
a golfer. I mean, like, dude, is that Arnold Palmer over there? They're like, holy crap, who is that? You know,
I'm old enough to be Arnold Palmer, so
I know exactly. Yes. Real quick, Tacos and French Fries says you do a good job covering the topic, but I think we also like the tangents as well. Yeah, we try to bring it back. We let everybody kind of say their part, and then we bring it back and continue the topic at hand. Because otherwise, guys, these podcasts would be really short because we stay very topic centric. We don't sit there and have like 5 minutes of dead space between thoughts and conversation. So, all right, so guys, make sure you check out the Squibload channel, the Squibliv channel, the whole Squib family. There's just a bunch of channels out there you can go like and subscribe to. All right. And also joining us, we've got Single Shots in the house. How you doing, man? You good?
Doing well, my friend, and good
What
morning
do
to
you got going
everybody.
on in your life right now? You're microwave shopping. You're looking for a new witch's pot to smolt your lead. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I had two of them go to pieces on
Is
me.
that called the Lee cauldron? Is that what they call that thing? A cauldron? Is that what your smelting pot is? Is that
No, it's
possible? No.
Lee
Okay.
Pro 420. That's what the official name of it is.
Now here's the thing. Have you
Got that.
contacted Lee about getting a replacement? Because they have the 50% rule. Like if your part fails, you get 50% of the money back or 50% towards a replacement.
I don't know. I ought to give that a shot there Monday,
They
and
Okay, they boast that in their
maybe.
reloading book that's like very prominently displayed in the first couple pages of the reloading manual that they've got this amazing
Yeah,
warranty that like half of it's covered. I don't know if it's for life or not, but yeah, you need to find out about that, dude.
yeah, they do seem to be pretty good on their warranties as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's definitely worth checking into.
yeah, man. Sounds good. Sounds good. So what's coming up on the channel? What's the future of the single shot channel?
Well, we're going to be doing a lot of things here once this weather clears and changes. I got a lot of stuff that I've got to get on the bench and do some accuracy testing. I got a few scopes and sights there that I got to set up and get completed. Plus the casting, we've got a lot of casting and went through a lot of lead this last winter. And it's still
Okay.
winter, unfortunately, but we're gonna end up with another pot. I'd ideally like to invest in an RCBS Pro Melt. I had one before the fire, and if
Yeah.
I can say anything positive about that thing, it is what it is. That thing is a real nice unit, and it holds 22 pounds, so you can do
Jeez.
a lot of production with that thing in a
Yeah.
hurry.
Well, I mean, 22
But
pounds of lead is only just like a softball size amount of lead, really, when you think about it, because it's such a
yeah,
dense metal.
yeah.
It's not like you got this massive, bubbling barrel thing going on. Oh man, that's crazy. That's cool. Well, good luck finding one. Hopefully that goes well for you.
Oh
And
yeah, we'll get it
and also
squared away.
you said you're out shopping for a microwave too. Now you got to go get a new
Yeah,
microwave.
yeah, that
That's
thing cracked out this
Go
time
to
home.
Walmart, get Hamilton Beach, one and done, baby. It's all done. They're all set to go. Or better yet, go to like a thrift store and just go buy like a Panasonic from the 80s because those things don't ever die. So like the nice, or get a Radar Ranger, those big monsters.
Yeah,
So Defense Dad's out there. He says, I should probably get out of bed because I'm comfy. Defense Dad, you should be here in this discussion with us. I don't care if you own a
yeah.
Winchester firearm or not. You can join us from the bedroom in a weird kind of way. You can turn your mic on and join us if you want to. So there you go. Anyway, Defense Dad's out there. So I'm calling him out. He's been on a lot of episodes. I'll give him a little shout out. So speaking of shout outs, let's go ahead. Oh, wait, hold on. Single Shot. You're also over on Rumble. You said Daywolf is the name of your channel over there.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. And then your channel on YouTube, it's single space shot exclamation point because there's a billion single shot
Right.
videos that are out
Yeah.
there. Look, Squibload's got his photo from last summer. There you go. That was
Yeah.
Squibload was doing an airsoft recreation or doing an airsoft urban run or something. Is that what you called it, Squib? You guys were running around like an isolated part of Michigan with your airsoft guns, and you were dressed up in the tactical salmon. Now, Squib, it's also important that you leave it buttoned down so that hamburger meat can hang out for everybody to enjoy. All right, there you go. Yeah, see, just have a button down, and then have the collar like semi popped up, like you're a jet setter. See, he's kind of got it, but not 100%. You need glasses, and then you got to pop the collar. Got to take it back to 2008. You got to pop the collar. So there we go. All right, so let's give a little shout out to everybody that's watching on the YouTube side. We got GTP Productions in the house. We got Tony York out there. We got Thomas Rees joining in. He goes, I hope everybody's doing good. And Thomas, we're having a great time. We're having fun. We're here. You guys are here. It's Saturday morning. It's awesome. I just wish it was above freezing outside here in Nebraska. We'll get there eventually. Let's see. Kim Williams is out there. Good morning, Mom. Travis T's out there. Defense Dad, Kingpin, Squib Load, Firefighter 09100. Ozzy Osbourne's out there. Hey, Mom, what coffee are you drinking this morning? I've got the Turtle Love, by the way, just so you know. That's not code for something. My mom got me a box of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I'm drinking it. Shh, don't tell. With creamer. We don't normally do that, but we are today. So tacos and French fries, Tactical Fuds in the house. Tony York's with us. Mountain View's out there. Woods is joining in. I saw a little M. Gabriel in the house. Ozzy Osbourne, Tommy Gunn, Bruce. Easterline is out there. Says Model 94. Enough said. I don't disagree with you, sir. Brian Schuler is out there. And then Kingpin started it up. So yeah, we're gonna get into it here a little bit. So the first part's gonna be just a little bit. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I did want to cover just kind of the basic, kind of the quick history of Winchester Repeating Arms. I did post a link, I think, over here for you guys to look at. Just kind of like, just so you guys know a little bit about Winchester. Winchester has a pretty good history that you can get from their website. You can click on the links for the different kind of eras of the company and then like what guns came out at that time. So we're going to cover the history of it. And it's mainly because this 1850s was like, it was a golden era for gun development. If you look at the players that were involved in it, it's names that endure to today, right? Company, designers, people, Browning, Henry, Smith and Wesson, literally. These companies, these guys were all intermingling about the same time. So I want to kind of go through that so you can see how this evolution of where Winchester is today has happened. Now, we're basically going to stop like around 1900 history-wise, but if there's any specific models you guys want us to cover or talk about, we can definitely do it. We're also going to go over to the Winchester website and see like what's offered today, and also where the guns are built might surprise you. But Winchester's always kind of had an international foothold in manufacture. They haven't always been just like homegrown, made in the U.S. They've had a variety of different manufacturing facilities, and that still carries over to today. So does that matter? Does it matter if you're getting a $1,400 lever gun now, new manufacturer that's made in Japan? Doesn't matter. Okay, who cares, right? So we'll have that discussion also. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Real quick, there's a question from Squiblode. Another question for the audience. Are pork rinds almost bacon? Asking for a friend. Well, bacon is the pork belly of the pig. So I don't know if you can consider pork rinds, which is the flesh of the pig, bacon. If we look at the definition of bacon, I think it has to be a specific cut in order to call it bacon in terms of the grocery store. So it has to come from a particular part. So I'm going to say no. I would say it's maybe wannabe bacon. Technically, it's from a different part of the pig.
So pork rinds are not classified as a breakfast food then?
I didn't say that. You could have anything you wanted for breakfast. I mean, any pork products you could have. You could have, pork chop if you want to with eggs for breakfast. You get a pork chop and eggs. No, I think that any pork product or byproduct for that matter would be delicious as a breakfast food. I'm just saying you can't call it bacon,
As long as you're not eating the southbound end of a northbound trunk.
Now, if you've ever had real actual carnitas from like a Mexican grocery store, like fresh fried carnitas, pork or pork rinds, they're a whole different experience than the crunchy ones you get out of a bag. It's like you can't even compare the two together. It's like potato chips versus French fries. Yeah, they're kind of the same, but there's a different experience going from one to the other. So yeah, cracklins. Have you ever had real pork rinds, cracklins? Tony, I have. In fact, the ones that I get from the Hispanic grocery store that I shop at, they make them fresh. You can get those little bits and pieces, those little ends. You can also get the big chunks of hide that are just flash fried in oil that are fantastic. So yeah, Thomas Reese says pork rinds are deep fried pork skin. Yeah, and the ones that you have in your bags and stuff are kind of commercially produced. So you're still getting the same product. But anyway, enough of that. Okay, so back to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. So what was it? Let me take you through the early history of it. It's going to take a couple minutes just so you know about the background of it. And then we'll talk about Winchester today. So history lesson for today, why don't we take you with us and we can let you guys watch while we do this. So instead of me just narrating the whole thing here we go. So the Winchester Repeating Arms Company was a prominent American manufacturer of repeating arms and ammunition. The firm was established in 1866 by Oliver Winchester, who was a clothing manufacturer, if I'm not mistaken, and was located in New Haven, Connecticut. The firm went into receivership in 1931 and was bought by the Western Cartridge Company, a forerunner of the Olin Corporation. The Winchester brand name is still owned by the Olin Corporation, which makes ammunition under that name. The Winchester name is also used under license for firearms production by two subsidiaries of the Herstal Group, FN Herstal, if that's how you pronounce it, of Belgium, and the Browning Arms Company of Ogden, Utah. Okay, so early history. The ancestor of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company was the Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson, does that sound familiar? Partnership of Norwich, Connecticut, but not to be confused with the famous Smith & Wesson revolver company founded later by the same men. Smith & Wesson acquired Lewis Jennings' improved version of the inventor Walter Hunt's 1848 Volition repeating rifle and its caseless rocket ball ammunition, which has been produced in small numbers by Robbins and Lawrence of Windsor, Vermont. Now, Jennings' rifle was a commercial failure, and Robbins and Lawrence ceased production in 1852. Smith designed a much improved rifle based on Jennings' design, and the partners also hired by Robbins and Lawrence shop foreman Benjamin Tyler Henry. Now, in 1855, the Smith & Wesson partnership, in order to manufacture what they call the volcanic lever-action rifle and pistol, sought investors and incorporated as the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company Its largest stockholder was clothing manufacturer Oliver Winchester. The volcanic rifle had only limited success. The company moved to New Haven without Smith & Wesson in 1856, but by the end of that year, it became insolvent, I think is what it is. Oliver Winchester and his partner, John M. Davies, purchased the bankrupt firm's assets from the remaining stockholders and reorganized it as the New Haven Arms Company in April of 1857. Now, after Smith's departure, Benjamin Henry continued to work with a Smith development project, the self-contained metallic rimfire cartridge, and perfected the much larger, more powerful 44 Henry round. Henry also supervised a new rifle design based loosely on the volcanic to use the new ammunition, retaining only the general form of the breech mechanism and the tubular mag. This became the Henry rifle of 1860, which was manufactured by the New Haven Arms Company and used in considerable numbers by certain Union Army units during the American Civil War. The Henry rifle ensured New Haven's armed success, and together with the Spencer rifle, established a lever-action repeater in the firearms market. Okay, last part. In 1866, Benjamin Henry, angered over what he believed was inadequate compensation, attempted to have the Connecticut legislature award ownership of New Haven Arms to him. Oliver Winchester hastened back from Europe, forestalled the move, and reorganized the New Haven Arms Company yet again as the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. So Winchester had the basic design of the Henry rifle completely modified and improved to become the first Winchester rifle, the model 1866, which fired the same 44 cal rimfire cartridges as the Henry, but had an improved magazine with the addition of a loading gate on the right side of the receiver, invented by Winchester employee Nelson King, right, the King's Gate, and for the first time, a wooden forend. The Henry and the 1866 Winchester shared a unique double firing pin that struck the head of the rimfire cartridge in two places when the weapon was fired, increases the chances that the fulminate in the hollow rim would ignite the 28 or so grains of black powder inside the case. Another extremely popular model was rolled out in 1873. The model 1873 introduced the first Winchester centerfire cartridge, the 4440 WCF. These rifle families are commonly known as the guns that won the West. The model 1873 was followed by the model 1876 or Centennial model, a larger version of the 73, which used the same toggle link action and brass cartridge elevator used in the Henry. It was chambered for longer, more powerful cartridges such as the 4560, the 4575 WCF, the 5095 WCF. Now, the action was not long enough to allow Winchester to achieve their goal of producing a repeating rifle capable of handling the 4570 government cartridge. This would not happen until they began manufacture the Browning design model 1886. Again, look at the players: Henry, Browning, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, right? Oliver Winchester died in December of 1880. His son and successor, William Wiltward Winchester, died of tuberculosis 4 months later. William Wirt Winchester's widow, Sarah Winchester, used her inheritance and income from the company to build what is known as the Winchester Mystery House, which I don't know anything about it, but we can look it up some point. From 1883, John Browning worked in partnership with the Winchester Repeating Arms Company and designed a series of rifles and shotguns, most notably the Winchester Model 1885 single shot, Winchester Model 1887 lever action shotgun, and Model 1897 pump action shotgun, and the lever action Model 1886, Model 1892, Model 1894, and Model 1895 rifles. Several of these are still in production today through companies such as Browning, Rossi, Navy Arms, and others, which have revived several of the discontinued models or produced reproductions. And will basically stop there at that point. Then it gets into the turn of the 20th century and the First World War. So kind of want to focus on some of the early models because a lot of those are the ones that are still out today. Whew, a lot of stuff going on there. So Squibload, what's your take on kind of the origin of the Winchester Firearms Company, where it is today, the influence? Do you think it has had some influence in modern firearms or the firearms we buy today? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, for one, I mean, John Browning sold designs to them or worked for them for a while, and anytime he gets involved or got involved in anything, it turned out to be a good thing. The Winchester name brand, I think, is more relevant today as a brand, right? This is like what you're talking about earlier about things made overseas by other companies for Winchester. That's kind of where they've gone. But back then, I think people liked the repeating firepower. People liked having a rifle in the same caliber as their handgun. If they,
smokeless cartridge, for one thing, get away from black powder, eventually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, up to 1900, there were still more black powder cartridge and Winchester as a company, they offered that product. They had that brand recognition back then too. Just overall, I think the fact that they come up with different models every so many years and kind of branched out a little bit as far as trying to do things like the lever action shotgun really wasn't that popular. It even Browning said that there were issues with it. So, but one thing I didn't really understand about Winchester is why the company didn't branch out into handguns and just more things or that sort of, just like the Winchester ammunition is not really Winchester. It's the name brand. It's like when you buy Caterpillar shoes, they're not made by Caterpillar in the bulldozer factory. They're
licensed out to some boot manufacturer somewhere,
Right. And since Oliver Winchester was a businessman, not a gunsmith, I think that might have been what started the trend. Even though they were making the firearms here in the 19th century and things like that, that might have been the groundwork for what Winchester's turned into today.
Yeah. Single shot, what's kind of your take on it? What are your thoughts on like modern Winchester versus Winchester of the past? Could they have done things differently, you think? Could they have expanded more, maybe shoot for more military contracts because of, the time when they were coming out in the Civil War and then going into World War I?
If it's a little too noisy, let me know.
There's a little bit of fuzz in the background, but yeah.
I think they did very well considering, the change of hands over the history, but again, the hands that was involved in the development was pretty substantial. Folks knew what they were doing and how to get things done. The history of Winchester shows its quality, and it's a very popular rifle.
Yeah,
a lot of folks have one. I have one.
Yeah,
and
I was looking at those 1894s, man, and those Model 94s. Those are, I'll tell you what, in the price wise, they're $1,400. It doesn't matter unless it's a special edition. If you go vintage or new, they really haven't gone up in price, which is pretty crazy. You'd think like a vintage, like an old one, would have more value. And just scanning on Gunbroker, you don't really see that. Whereas I noticed with Marlins being out of production until recently, like pre-Ruger Marlins are just breaking the bank. It doesn't matter if it's Freedom Group era Marlin 336s or if it's older, like those are going 2 to 3 times more, even more than 3 times more than the last retail price we had, say, on a 336, which was like $500, $600, So, but it is kind of crazy that, we can get them now, but they really haven't gone up in value from what they were a couple years ago. Now, just a little bit real quick about this. There's a question from Kingpin. Is the Firearms Company and the Ammo Company the same thing? Yes and no. So here's the specifics behind it, Kingpin. This is kind of where it is today. So it says in 2006, Olin Corporation, owner of the Winchester trademarks, announced that it had entered into a new license agreement with Browning to make Winchester brand rifles and shotguns, though not at the closed Winchester plant in New Haven. The production of the Model 1885 falling block action, Model 1892, and Model 1886 lever action rifles are produced under license agreement by Moroku Corp of Japan and imported to the United States by Browning. In 2008, FN announced that it would produce Model 70 rifles at its plant in Columbia, South Carolina. In 2013, assembly was moved to Portugal. In the summer of 2010, FN resumed production of the Winchester Model 1894 and the evolution of the Winchester 1300, now called the Winchester SXP. A number of gun cleaning kits, Chinese folding knives, tools, and other accessories are also sold under the Winchester trademark. So even like at Walmart, they'll have like Winchester gloves that they'll sell in the hunting department, or a Winchester beanie. It's just it's a label for marketing. So yes and no, like the ammo company is its own thing using the Winchester trademark to make Winchester ammo, Olin, but the guns are licensed out from the Winchester Corporation to various manufacturers that produce them. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's kind of integrated, but it's not. They're actually separate. It kind of depends on who's making, but in the end, it all kind of comes back to one general corporation that owns the label and owns the rights to the guns. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. Tony said they didn't branch out because of a gentleman's agreement with Smith & Wesson. Oh, okay. So maybe that's why they never went the revolver route, like never went into the full production. Like Smith & Wesson, maybe they parted ways wouldn't sue Winchester if Winchester wouldn't pursue revolver manufacture. Maybe that's part of it, because it sounds like they had kind of an interesting kind of falling out at the very end there. Now, what's interesting today is, Winchester's kind of had this international manufacturer base for a very long time. I mentioned that the lever guns are actually made in Japan. Not that it really matters, because there are some fantastic rifles and guns that come out of Japan, which is interesting because the average citizen can't own firearms, if I'm not mistaken, or it's very hard to get a firearm in Japan. Yet they make some of the most stellar lever guns and rifles that are out there also that you can buy today too. Aren't there some of the Brownings made in Japan also? Aren't the Satoris Japanese made? I thought so. The Browning Satori over under. I think they are. I could be wrong about that. So again, these companies are all kind of interwoven and kind of intertwined. Now, if we go over to the Winchester website, they're very transparent about where their guns are made. They'll tell you where a specific firearm is made and why it's actually made there, because you're sitting there thinking, I want this American-made gun from this American company, and you think about that, but like I said, Winchester doesn't hide the fact that the guns are not made in the USA. In fact, there's a lot of manufacturers, you might not know this, guys, but a lot of guns just get rebranded with a common manufacturer that like Remington or Smith & Wesson, and the guns are actually made abroad. Maybe not so much Smith & Wesson as, say, like Winchester or Stoger or some of these other companies, or even like Springfield Armory, right? Because, they're bringing guns over that are made by another manufacturer, and they slap their name on it and call it their own, like the Hellion and the XDs and stuff like that, maybe the older XDs. So where are Winchester firearms manufactured? We're just going to talk about some of the basic models and where they come from. And Single Shot and Squib, you guys just go ahead and interrupt if you have something you want to say, because I'm doing the full text view here. So, all right, Winchester Model 70. It's no secret that Winchester Repeating Arms is part of the greater Herstal group, such as FN, with factories all around the world. The best factories are used for each model. Assembly and production of Model 70s have been shifted to our Viana, Portugal plant, as indicated on the barrel inscription. Earlier production of the USA-made guns is marked as such. So for the first 70 years, production was in New Haven, Connecticut. The factory closed in 06. After 06, a number of Model 70 bolt-action rifles were produced at the Herstal Group factory in South Carolina, USA, over several years. Production was then moved to the factory in Viana, Portugal, a factory that was already part of Herstal Group. Generally today, key parts are likely sourced worldwide, with the rifle made and assembled in Portugal. So it says the made USA question. Some hunters and shooters have reasons for purchasing only made in USA firearms. Some hunters only revere pre-64 Model 70s. We understand, but it'd be incorrect to base your decision on whether to buy a new Model 70 made at our Portugal plant due to a fear of poor performance. Model 70s made and or assembled in Portugal have stellar quality, accuracy, and overall performance that matches or exceeds any production Model 70s ever in our history. And I think Winchester there's kind of missing the point. It's not, to me, it's not an inferior quality question, because there's a lot of guns that are made abroad that are stellar, right? To me, it's more of like a American made, American jobs, keep the money in America question. So that's like, I'm not questioning the quality at all. I'm just saying that, it would be hard to buy one. I would maybe want to go pre-64 to get that American made, quality or that provenance to that particular gun. Speaking of provenance, Kingpin is joining us. Kingpin, how you doing, brother? What's going on, man?
Good. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm just a little chatterbox today, just kind of trying to cover, 157 years of Winchester history. But what's kind of your take on Winchester, man? What do you think? What are your thoughts on the whole idea here?
For me, when I think Winchester, the first thing that pops into my mind is the cowboy gun with the side loading gate.
Yeah.
Classic lever action firearm. So that's basically and then also now pretty much when I think Winchester, I think of the ammo company, because I shoot more pistol than I do rifle. So for me, Winchester's more ammunition than firearms. But of course, I don't poo-poo the history of what Winchester means to firearms.
Yeah. Tony York says the post-64 70s were a different gun. They went to a push feed as opposed to control feed on pre-64 guns. So there have been changes, that were made, and maybe it was done because of efficiency or because of cost, which unfortunately sometimes happens in the industry. But, Kingpin, I'm the same way. When I think about Winchester, I think about the classic lever guns. I think about the ammo, which is sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I guess the Winchester Ammo Corp is not the Winchester Ammo Corp that it was, 150 years ago. It's actually bought out by somebody else. The XPR bolt action rifle, again, that's another one that's manufactured at the Portugal plant. So, and again, this doesn't matter. And I'm not saying don't go out and buy the gun. I'm just saying it's interesting that they've got this, and they explain why they move production to those particular locations. The other one is the X4 and X3 auto-loading shotguns. The Super X3 is made in Belgium and assembled in Portugal. And let's see here. So the X3 shotguns are made in Belgium and assembled in Portugal, but that's not the situation with every single shotgun that Winchester makes. Like their Super X pump is actually manufactured in Turkey. Yes, Turkey. So, and then remember, Turkey's got kind of this ring of fire of shotgun production in their country, where a lot of shotguns come out of there. A lot of other companies, you'd be surprised, source their shotguns from Turkey. Now, if that company has a base in Turkey and they control the QC, the quality control from that gun that comes out from that country, I wouldn't be afraid to buy it. But I mean, just after watching some of these burn down tests on Turkish shotguns that I see on larger YouTube channels, a lot of the guns will fail within 500 rounds. It's like, man, I hope it wouldn't, because I want something that's going to last, a lifetime, something you can pass on to your kids. So do I want to get it? Do I want to trust the quality? You definitely want to do your research. You definitely want to look at the gun itself. And a lot of times it's the internal parts that fail on these guns. It's not the core components. It's not the receiver, the barrel, the action. It's like pins and extractors and springs that break. Those are a lot of the parts that cause the weapon to fail. So how is that QC overall? But yeah, even, Winchester shotguns are manufactured in Turkey. Something I thought was kind of interesting was that of all these SHOT Show videos that I watch, which I'm gracious for the coverage because I learned a lot about a lot of new guns that are coming out and a lot of designs, there was very little that was mentioned about Winchester on SHOT Show. I don't remember seeing any videos at all. They did announce a few new guns, a few new variations, but I don't think I saw one video on Winchester. There's a lot of companies that really didn't get covered. So maybe Winchester wasn't at SHOT Show. I don't know. But it was kind of funny that I don't really recall seeing anything that they came out with. They've only come out with a few new guns in the last couple of years, new models and whatnot. So going back to the website, where are these gunmen? And then we get to the model 1894, right? The model 94. It says, for well over 100 years, a Model 94 was made at the New Haven, Connecticut factory. That all changed after the factory closing in 2006. The reintroduction of the historic Model 94 was spearheaded from our R&D facility in Utah. We then utilized our Winchester Repeating Arms sister factory in the mountain country near the city of Kochi, Japan for production. Although the Model 94 is the most recent historical Winchester to be built in this factory, it's not the first. Since the mid-90s, all Winchester historic lever actions, formerly called limited editions, have been made at this same factory. This includes the rifles listed below. Then we get into the Model 1866, the Model 1885, the Model 1892, 1895, 1873. And it says, these historical Winchesters are back in production today after being absent from the market for many decades. All were dropped from production by the original Winchester company over half a century ago. Each of these models was reintroduced by today's Winchester Repeating Arms company at some point beginning in the 90s. They're all made in Kochi, Japan. Then we get into their Model 101 over-unders. They're made in Belgium and also Portugal. The Wildcat 22 rimfire autoloader, which is one of their newest models, also made in Turkey. And then they talk about some of their factories. So, Squib, I don't disagree with you that they should be made in the USA. It's a shame that they're not, especially for the prices that they're asking. I think an American-made company, American origin, the company could still profit from those prices. Because the lever guns are, $1,400. I mean, it's not like they're cheap, right? It's not like you're getting these for $400 or $500. So, yeah. Let's see here. Tony says that Winchester doesn't really need advertising.
Some of the problem, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much, there's so many different layers when it comes to manufacturing. Like Henry, the commercials that Henry puts out is made in America or not made in all. And if I come to find out that their front sight is actually made in Tibet, because that's where the best brass is found, big deal. If 80% of the gun is made in Afghanistan, well, you can't advertise made in America or not made at all. Then obviously you get a little political stuff. Do they make their guns in Japan because the manufacturing's better, because the steel is already there and it's less to ship it, or is it because they don't mind child labor laws? So there's all kinds of different layers when you come to talking about manufacturing and where stuff's made and why it's made. Obviously, I default to what you guys just said, make the entire thing in the continental United States.
And here's the thing: if a company like Henry can make $1,000 lever action in the USA and still make a profit and still afford to pay its workers a good living wage, then why can't Winchester do it? You know?
Well, first you need to, I mean, not getting into politics, but that living wage is a problem. That's a problem. You remove that term from the economics, and we can actually have, a free market system. But as long as people demand what they invent in their mind as a livable wage, then you're going to have $15 an hour McDonald's employees and $3 hash browns.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
But I do
Um,
think, a lot of people do say that, okay, if you make hairbrushes in America, your hairbrush is going to cost $30 because of this, that, and the third. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe that's true. The first 5 years of this new hairbrush is going to be more expensive. But then when the second hairbrush company opens, the third hairbrush company opens, all three of these American companies battling against each other for the market, prices will come down.
think about like Honda and Toyota. They've been making cars in the USA for a very long time, and they still demand a premium price over American-made cars. That Accord or that Camry has always been, 1,000 or $1,500 more than a Hyundai or a Malibu or an Impala. So just because it's made in the USA doesn't necessarily mean that you still could be paying a premium because of that, that foreign product. So yeah, no, I do agree with you. It is kind of interesting that they don't try to bring it back to the USA. But again, part of the problem too is when they're owned by other like multinationals or when they're owned by multiple companies based out of foreign countries like Browning or FN, when they don't even have maybe even a headquarters in the USA, then what's the point of even bringing it back to the USA?
Well, and going back to the quality thing, for watches, everybody, the Swiss make the best
Hmm.
clocks ever. Well, is there's something in the water that the Swiss drink that make them really good at that. So maybe there's, something in the mashed potatoes that people in Turkey make that just make
Yeah,
them really the best shotgun makers.
I think a big part of it is just who's going to manufacture it the cheapest, but still put out a quality product. Something that they're not going to worry about a bunch of warranty claims on, but it's also going to maximize their, or maybe with those model 94s, maybe it's just because the barrels were already made there, so why not just move the whole facility there because that's a huge component of instead of shipping them here and making them, let's just make everything there. But then I look at companies like Palmetto State Armory where they make basically everything in house except for the FN barrels that they get from FN for their CHF line of rifles. So it could be done. It is a shame that it's not. But again, you look at just the origin of it with Oliver Winchester. He was an ad man. He was a marketing man. He was a manager, a vendor. He wasn't necessarily a gun guy. So the USA production thing wasn't necessarily a priority. And the fact that these guns have been made abroad for so long tells me that it's really not that important of a deal to Winchester. I mean, the question is, would you go get yourself a new Winchester now, or would you go for the pre 64 or the pre-move models? Would you go for something like the pre-06 models before the company went under and got bought out and then got moved around? Single shot, you had mentioned single shot. Was it your grandpa that had a pre-64 model rifle?
Yeah, I wanted. I'd like to have put my hands on that thing when he passed away. The 22 Magnum I got came from him, so that was pretty nice. That was a really nice rifle. That thing, just about 100% condition.
Yeah. So you say that it's just not that they just don't make them like they used to. That kind of feeling is how you feel about it,
Yeah. I mean, the quality is still there. Don't get me wrong as far as that is concerned. But, they're just not made the same as they were back when,
Yeah. Yeah. Quick comments here. Tony York says, I can't say that I never had a Winchester I didn't like. But then Tony had mentioned something that was going on. What'd you say, Tony? You got the 190, it would not group at all, and you found that the barrel was loose, tightening the thing, and it grouped better than even your Marlin Model 60. So Scott 79 says a lot of people have issues when it comes to Turkey, not because of bad firearms, but because of the politics involved there. Yeah, that's another part of it too, is yes, they are a NATO ally, but some people see their government, how they treat their people, as hostile. I guess if you're going to say that and think that, that's fine, but then don't buy anything from China, which has some of the largest human rights violations and genocide going on than any other country in the world currently in the modern day, modern slavery, right? I mean, but Scott, I don't disagree. I mean, I wouldn't want to support a company that has a government that, that does that persecutes people. But then again, I mean, it's not our country, it's not our government. What do we do? I guess you could just act as a consumer by not buying from that company. Part of me is torn because I'd love to have a new Model 94, and I wouldn't mind the fact that this thing is sourced in Japan. That doesn't bother me. I guess if the quality's there and you don't really have a choice and you're going to pay this price for a new one or the exact same price for a vintage one, I don't know. I guess I wasn't looking at the pre-64 prices to see if they're any higher, but it seems like those Model 94s are just kind of all about the same. Like price-wise, they don't really seem to go up, whether they're new or not. Anywho, so that's just kind of my thoughts on that. All right, so we're going to, I'm missing some of the comments here. Ozzy Osbourne says overblown CEO salaries is a reason for high prices. Manufacturing overseas enables those salaries. Well, and then also returns to the shareholders. I mean, that's a huge part is maximizing your profit margin. And one of the ways you do that is by having lower cost of labor to manufacture. I mean, that's just kind of the sad reality. Yeah, Squiblift, it's all about cost and profit margins. Yeah, what it comes down to is how much does that company, really want to make? Do they really care about profit? We'll take a company like High Point, for instance. You would think that High Point, with all these guns they sell, they've just got money rolling in. Yes and no. I mean, if you figure your average High Point pistol is $150, right? There's a cost of manufacture, then there's a resale price, and then the resale price again between the vendor and the customer. High Point might only make $25 off every $150 gun when it's all said and done. After the cost of manufacture, after parts, after labor, after selling it to the distributor. So it's not like High Point's got millions of dollars, but High Point also has not moved their manufacturing abroad or say moved it down to Mexico where they could have the gun assembled for 1/10 of their current paying price, And so that's kind of interesting that companies choose to do what they do. It almost seems like a topic we need to have a discussion on is should your gun be American made, Well, but then we look at companies like CZ where I love my Shadow too. And I just, there's nothing American made about it, unfortunately, but it's such a fantastic gun.
Again, so a lot of people have, because it's something that we care about and it's something that we're passionate about, so we kind of like put our rose-colored glasses on sometimes. Remington is a business. Ruger is a business. They're in business not for the Second Amendment. They're not in business for the hunting. They're in business to make money. And, so the argument could be made, well, yeah, Ruger gets their guns made in Pakistan. Oh, that's not cool. I don't like that, which I wouldn't like. I am super pro made in America, but Ruger's never, to my knowledge, held a Second Amendment rally either. Ruger's never, and I'm just picking Ruger out because it's just the name that popped in my head. Ruger's never pushed forward some type of legislation pro Second Amendment, to my knowledge. So if we're super worried about where they're making this stuff because it's, not supporting America, well, how about support America and do some 2A stuff too? So all that being said is sometimes you got to divorce yourself from the fact that these are companies that want to make money first and foremost.
One thing that's interesting about that, you say that, and you see that, but then you see that, Ruger, like they heavily advertise the NRA on their website, and you get American Rifleman magazine and every other ad is a Kimber or Ruger ad, or it's, maybe there's a bit of an agreement where they will let the politics and lobbying be done by the USPSA or done by the NRA, and they won't have such a visible presence. They're not there screaming at they don't have lobbyists and representatives in Washington, lobbying for gun rights because they're going to let the NRA take care of that for them. I'm kind of wondering if there isn't some agreement sometimes.
Well, it would probably
which is why you don't see them sponsoring rallies and stuff like that.
It would be a PR disaster if Ruger came out and said, we're going to host a Second Amendment rally. The heat that they would get would be absolutely unbearable for any company to try to deal with. So I understand why they stay out of politics. But, going back to the same thing, does it really matter if they're not making their guns in America as long as they're still making good guns? Once again, I prefer an American company be fully made in America.
Okay. Dude, I agree. It'd be nice if it was. And there are some guns where, like what we're talking about, a few other models where they're just not made here. I mean, that's just a fact. Like I look at some of the Taurus handguns, some of the G series handguns made in Brazil, They're just not going to make a factory here and make them here. They just make them there. They've always been making them there. That's just how it is, you know. But anyway, obviously we want to shoot for made in the USA. GSB9 says, sorry for the off-topic question. What do you think of this for a future show topic? Which of your handguns, past or present, do you trust the most? Yeah, that's something we could discuss. Our favorite guns, like the ones that we would be the ones that would be our go-to, the ones that would be our bedside guns. Maybe some guns that we'd want to stay away from that we haven't had good luck with. And I hate bashing certain gun companies, but I've had firearms fail, and I tried numerous times to get them to run 100%. And they don't. Sometimes they've required a complete factory rebuild. So maybe we'll do that one as a topic for next week, you know, which is interesting because, you know, again, I just tested the High Point JXP 10 millimeter, and it ran like a champ. Not fun to take apart and clean, but it ran great. I ran 3 different types of ammo through it, and it just was solid. You know, it was fun. So, and that's a High Point, right? Would I trust it as a bedside gun or a go to war weapon? I don't know. It's hard to say. So,
But didn't
yeah, maybe that's
Winchester
something. What's
didn't
that?
Winchester put out a pistol a couple years ago?
Oh man, I have.
One of the rifle companies put out a handgun a couple years ago. And it wasn't their
Uh,
first handgun ever. It was like kind of like a, hey, we're gonna do this again thing.
Remington, didn't
Mossberg.
they have Remington RP9 or something? Did they have some problems with that? And then there was the Remington. They remade the one gun that had some serious issues, and then they discontinued it. It was kind of a real. I can't remember the name of that one. I've totally drawn a blank right now. Remington's tried to come out and market some handguns, but when their company went under or went bankrupt and got bought out, I think the production of those guns basically disappeared. Like they had the RP9 and the RP45 and stuff, and they were like, they couldn't cycle. They wouldn't run. You know, like they looked nice, but they were trying to make like duty grade guns, try to get some kind of a contract with them. But yeah, Mossberg's has their little pistol, but that you don't really hear about any issues with that. I mean, it seems to be pretty solid. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that anybody's made. But I mean, even like Savage, I think, is making their first handgun. But a lot of these, they're also kind of an offshoot of another brand. Like they bought out a company and they're making a gun based on it because all the R&D is done. They're just going to slap their name on it or change the molds a little bit. And then because there's that, oh God, I can't remember what it was called. It was like not Patriot Arms or something, but I think the Savage handgun that came out is based off of a now defunct company that came out a couple of years ago that just didn't quite take off. Oh man, Sentinel something or another. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, sometimes they try and they just kind of fail because they just don't really have the experience. But Abigail says, I'll definitely bash gun companies for various reasons. Keltec, HK, SIG, PSA. Yeah, and as customers, I think it's good for us to be critical of those products that we buy because there are things that could be done better, right? Squibble, the R51. Yeah, was it the Remington R51? That was the remake, and it just kind of seems like it was an epic fail because so many people had problems with it. I don't know. But yeah. And then also like Stoger imports a Turkish gun right now too that you can buy the ST9 or something like that and all of its different variants. So yeah, they have a Turkish sourced handgun that they make. Now they also claim that they oversee the manufacture of it in Turkey too. So you're going to be guaranteed to get something that's not going to fall apart. But all right, something else I wanted to cover real quick is okay. So since there really wasn't any SHOT Show coverage that I saw of Winchester Firearms, like what do they make now? Like what can you buy now? Do they even make guns anymore? What's the status of what they have? Have they come out with anything new? Well, yeah, they actually have. So we're going to kind of take a look at it real quick from the Repeating Arms website. Really have, with their shotgun sourcing, and they've been known for shotguns for a long time. They've got some pretty cool products. So new is the Expert 22 LR, which I think was based off the Wildcat model, if I'm not mistaken. So this one's more of a precision model that they make, but it's got some nice iron sights on it. Again, this one is, I believe, Turkish source, if I'm not mistaken. So that was one of the models that they were showing off. Also, they've got the Wildcat Sporter model with a nice wood stock. So they do have, if you go under current products, they do have a bunch of different variations of this particular rifle that you can get. They still make a bunch of different bolt actions. You can go. They also have the XSP high grade field. So if you are a Winchester shotgun fan, this is another one you can get. And if you go on the left-hand side, these are all current products. If you check it out. So I'm just over at winchesterguns.com. These are all different models they make a ton, or import, I should say, a ton of different shotguns and variations. They've got camp field combos. They've got buck bird combos. You can get them with slug barrels, with shot barrels. So yeah, they do manufacture quite a few guns today. Let's see here. We go to products. We can go to their Model 94, which I'm getting very, very impatient with Ruger and Marlin with the 336s getting out there. I haven't seen any pop up at all. I haven't seen any product code listings at all. You know, they keep saying, "Oh, it's going to be out, you know, early 2023." Well, here we are, and we're still waiting. This doesn't surprise me because companies do this all the time. So I'm thinking, man, would I rather drop, you know, $1,400 on a new Marlin Ruger or drop $1,400 on a Model 94? Because they're both $1,399. You know, well, I would imagine the 336s are probably going to be $1,000 or more, and then the actual asking price, like on Gunbroker, is probably going to be over $1,000. So I'm sitting here thinking, do I just want to go get a Henry because I can get one for $1,000? Do I want to get a Model 94 for $1,300 because I can get one now if I want one? I don't know. Let me just run this one around the room real quick. So Squib, I got a question for you. I know you got to get going here pretty soon. Squib, would you, if you were going to get a lever gun, would you, let's just say you don't have one and you want one, would you do a Model 94? We're going to go 30-30. Would you go with a Model 94? Would you go with a 336? Would you just go get, what would you do, Squib? Would you go get a Henry if you had to choose between the three and you wanted one? Would you wait? Okay, you might be away from the mic. Single shot, I'm going to ask you that question real quick. Single shot, you there? Okay, so if you wanted a lever gun, if you wanted a lever 30-30, what would you get? What would you go buy? If you would you let's just say you could get the Marlin Ruger 336s. They're out. Would you get that? Would you get a Model 94 from Winchester, or would you go get a Henry?
I think with them all right in the same neighborhood as far as price range go, I'd go with the Henry myself.
Yeah. And with the Henrys, you can get a $1,300 Henry. You know, the basic, you know, carbine starts at $1,000 roughly. It's what I'm seeing on a little over $1,000 right now. I paid $750 for my octagonal barrel color case hardened legacy model. So yeah. So you'd go Henry? Yeah,
I inherited a lever 22 there from my dad, and that's a fine made little rifle. I'll tell you, it's just light, easy to maneuver. And it's quick. And it's got that short 60-degree throw on the lever. Yeah. So they're a very, very much a quality rifle. And I'd probably second in line. I'd go with the 336. Okay. When that comes out. Part of me, I want a beater lever gun. I want a truck gun. I don't want like a special edition model. I want a blued lever gun that I can just take around and shoot and enjoy. Whereas unfortunately my Henry's become a bit of a safe queen. Part of it is because of the value on it. Those octagonal barrel legacy models are skyrocketing in price now. I could probably sell for $1,500. And also it's set up as a deer rifle. I've got an optic on it. Whereas I just want a nice, field sights, just 30-30 I can play around with. Something I can take to the range, put a couple of rounds down range, just have fun with it, more of a beater, something I don't have to worry about quite so much. But I kind of agree with you. I mean, I almost think that'd be the way to go, Oh yeah. Okay. So I've handled the 4570 big boy, golden boy. That thing is a beautiful piece. Yeah. They make some wonderful rifles. I mean, whether they're blued or they've got that, the brass or the gold plating and stuff. It's a really nice looking gun. Yeah. Yep. All right. Kingpin, what about you? You want a lever gun? Let's just say that all three models are out there. The Marlin 336, the Winchester Model 94, or the Henry. Which route would you go, Kingpin?
I had the Henry in 45 Colt, and I've still got the 22 mag. So I'm going to take Henry off because I've already got one. Okay. I've got two of the Marlin 60s, which I know are different guns. They're not the lever action, but that takes Marlin off the page for me. And I don't really know the difference between the 336 and the 94. So
94 is top ejection. They're the Winchester, and then the 336 is the side ejection with the side gate on it. The old 336 lever gun. That's the main mechanical difference, I guess you could argue, but yeah.
That's where I'm going to have the biggest problem because I'm going to go, traditional, if you want to call it that, and it's definitely have to be in 30-30. It has to have a side loading gate. But I'm torn whether I want the top ejection or the side ejection. That's really the hardest part because it doesn't really matter either way to me. I think I prefer top ejection, but I'm not going to, fight with you over a side ejection either.
Yeah. No, I prefer the top ejection over the side. because when that round, that empty case kicks out, it's going to go right up over your shoulder. You know where that thing went. And I'm the type of person that likes to pick up my brass. I'm not knocking the 336 because that's good too. That goes side ejection. And I fired quite a few 336 lever rifles. And it's a close race amongst all four of them for me, really.
Yeah. Tony Ork says my Browning has a 30 degree throw and I hate it. Let's see here. Throwing lever hurts when I smack the lever because all my other levers are full throws. Yeah. I mean, I get that too because it's a different kind of feel. Crushes the tips of your fingers. I'm still gonna hold out. Yeah, somebody had mentioned that I'd seen some SHOT Show videos. Tony says a SHOT Show video that he saw said they expected the 336 early spring. I know we're in March. I mean, we still got a couple months before spring officially ends, right? It could be at any point. The problem also is that since they've been out of production for so long, and now that a pre-Ruger 336 is now pushing over $1,000, a lot of guys are like, well, I'm just going to get the new one. And also after seeing the fit and finish of the SBLs, the 4570s that are out there now, they look stellar. They look fantastic. Ruger's really got it. They really got it going on. I mean, they look amazing. I watched a video where a guy compared his pre-Ruger SBL 4570 to the new one. And the new one just, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the old one, but the new one just so much more improved overall, just the way it looks, the way everything fits, the quality of the components they're using. Now, granted, they're not using the tool steel internals on the Rugers, but I mean, you don't really ever hear much about Rugers having mechanical failures. They're kind of the masters of MIM parts. But in general, I think Ruger does a pretty good job. And I'm sure we're probably missing other lever guns that are out there too, and 30 other brands that are out there that we could get. I'm just kind of going with the big three, essentially the Winchester, the Henry, and also the Marlin. So yeah, it'll be nice if they get one of those out there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and end the poll real quick because Squiblow's got to get going here. Squiblow's got to get to a wedding here very soon. So we're going to go ahead and end the poll. So the question was, what should Squib wear to Roll Call's wedding? A tactical salmon pink polo with khakis or a blue collar. We call it blue collar because, blue collar worker. Blue collar button down with khakis, 25%. And the audience says 75% wants to see Squiblow wear the tactical salmon with khaki. So that's how the poll's going to end. So Squib, it's going to have to be the tactical salmon. I mean, if you want to really make that impact, if you really want to be the center of the party, if you want to be the source of the party, you got to go tactical salmon, buddy. So that's it. It's been decided. Now, if you decide not to, that's fine. We still care about you. So
I'll go with the salmon, but I'll bring the blue shirt as a backup. Always going with a backup. I've been getting ready, been away. I've been trying to listen.
No, that's okay, dude. I
figured you're getting ready to head out while I'm shaving.
Yeah. You're like, come on. You're like, okay, so I would go with, so real quick, Squiblow, from the big three, who would you prefer if you don't have a lever gun and you want to get a lever gun? Which of the big three would you buy from, Henry or a new Ruger Marlin? If you could get one, 336 or a Model 94 Winchester, what would you go with?
You really have to ask that question.
Mm-hmm. I want to know because maybe there's something about the Winchester that you always wanted but never got, but there's something about the design you appreciate.
If I'm gonna buy a Winchester lever action rifle, I'm gonna go to the Antique Arms Show and I'm going to buy a real Winchester. Okay, and it's going to be very expensive. Otherwise, if I just want to get a lever action rifle today, a modern built, reliable Henry, all day, every day, no question.
Oh, and I love mine. Don't get me wrong. I've come so close. I've had it in the cart, been looking at it thinking, okay, I can get this basic blued 30-30 with the side gate, which is what I want. I can get it right now, $900, done. There's a couple times we've gone live, where I was in the lobby just sitting there thinking, do I want to get it? And I'm like, I want to hold out for 336, mainly because I had a 336 and I traded it, and I'm regretting that to this day. I don't regret what I traded it for because what I traded it for is worth just as much money. But oh man, just kicking myself for letting that happen. So I don't know, man. Decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope you make the decision that you like, but just remember, more is better. So if you just end up with one of each, hey,
this is true.
America.
And I've been talking about only wanting to get bucket list guns, and life is short. So you gotta party like a rock star while you still can. That's all I gotta say. So.
You can't take it with you. So
you do have two hands, Travis.
What's that?
Said you do have two hands.
This is true, and there's a lot more room in the gun. Actually, I can use that as an excuse to buy another gun safe if I have to. So there we go.
I could definitely use one. All right, guys, I gotta
right.
go. So thanks for
Yep.
having me on the show, and good topic. I'll see you guys later. Bye, Alicia.
Question before you go. Find out from Roll Call if you're registered somewhere. I'd love to get them a wedding gift. Do they register at Target or something, or like Shields or Cabela's? Ask them if they're registered somewhere, because I'd like to get them a gift. All right.
I'll ask. Yeah, I didn't even
Okay.
check. I just yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Obviously,
hey,
tell
Squib.
tell them we all say congratulations and we love them.
Absolutely.
will do.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He's got
Safe
the blessing of the
travels, my
travel.
friend.
In the name of the John Moses Browning and the Smith & Wesson and the Ruger.
There you go. All right.
That's right.
Safe-
Right.
Safe travels, Squib. You take care.
All right.
All
Bye,
right,
Alicia.
take care, man. Be good. Say hi to Alicia for me at the wedding.
And you know, going on what you and Squib were just saying, this is actually an excellent way to stimulate the economy. If you buy both guns, then you need to buy more ammo, then you need to buy another safe. So all of that's adding to the economy.
So
just
here's
think
what
about
I would do when I was married, and the ex-wife never disagreed with this. I would go buy a magazine for a gun I didn't have, and then I would go get the gun. She's like, "You're getting another rifle?" I was like, "Well, I got a mag for it, so I got to get the rifle that goes with it." She just roll her eyes and walk out. I never complained when she bought her purses, but I'm just saying that I'm like, go get a magazine for a gun you don't have, then you're going to feel the urge to. It's like one time I had somebody send me a pin for the hammer on an AR-15 and said, well, now that you've got the pin, you need to go build a rifle. So I went and bought a fully finished lower and a parts kit and built my first AR-15. It was a good excuse to do it. So yeah, so go get the magazine for the gun before you have the gun, and then you'll go buy the gun. So there you go. That's the thing that you do. Ozzy Osbourne says you should wait for the 336. I am, Ozzy. I will. If I can't get one by this summer, then I'm probably gonna just break down and go buy something else. I don't know. Maybe go buy something vintage. I'm not sure. So we'll see what we're gonna do.
the best thing to do is buy the 94 and then get a grinder and get a bench and a lathe and modify this gun live on the internet so everybody can watch you doing it, like cutting into the barrel and modifying in all kinds of different ways.
Should I SBR my 94?
Oh man!
Should I SBR the 94 and then put a bump, like not a bump stock, but a pistol brace on the back of it, like put a tactical buffer tube on it and stuff,
and an echo trigger. An echo trigger on a lever gun.
So as you like pull back, it fires when you when you move the lever. It technically, because it's a trigger pull every time you.
Well, you
can
can
imagine that. Can you imagine what that would look like?
If the gun,
They used to make a flip-up lever that attached to the lever to do just exactly that.
I could just get a mare's leg and the little short, get a mare's leg. Do they do mare's legs in 30-30 though, or were they 357?
man,
So I could just get
57, 30, 30, 45, 70.
Get a mare's leg and put a
45
vertical
volt.
foregrip on it, put an EOTech on the top of it, and like a Veridian laser with infrared illuminator on it, and have like the ultimate 30-30 CQB takedown Old West model. That would be sweet. And then you've got to get it all painted up in black. Obviously, it's got to be tactical black. And then I'm going to bolt a bunch of Picatinny rails to it, and I'm going to Mall Ninja that. Here's the best part. I'm going to have one of those grips on the front that has a tripod or bipod that comes out of the front. So
Tony just removed all of us from his will.
dude, I'm kidding, man. I'm just kidding. There's no way I could ever do that. But the idea of an SBR 30-30 does that'll happen. That'll be the next thing. Like SBR 30-30s, that's the one thing they haven't really marketed to us yet. 10.5-inch 30-30, with like a brace on the back. They'll have some sort of weird brace stock thing that they'll put on the back of it. Oh my God. That's never going to make the Maryland gun roster, Kingpin. I'm just going to say it right now. So
No.
No, I don't think so.
So now Tony York says, if you haven't ever tried a Winchester 1894, you really should. The feel of that gun is nearly perfect. Tony, does it matter if it's pre-64 or post? Does it matter, Tony? Because I'm kind of curious, because is there anything they changed on the new ones that just doesn't feel the same? Or is it still the same gun? It's just made in a different country,
Well, how do you
Ozzy Osbourne. Go ahead, Kingpin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll wait till you're done.
No, I was just going to say Ozzy Osbourne. He does something that I've also done. I've gone out and bought ammo for a gun. That's what I did with the 10mm. I bought a bunch of boxes of 10mm, didn't have one. And that fueled my fire to go buy the High Point 10 when I got an opportunity to get it. So go buy ammo for a gun you don't have. Then you have an excuse to go buy that gun. There you go. Tony York says, if you do, Travis, I swear to God, I will hunt you down. Yeah, SBR your 30-30. Get a tax stamp on it and then put a suppressor on it. I'm telling you, man, you could make it. You can make it rock. Put a 45-degree offset, sight on the top with like a magnifier and all that stuff on the top. Ozzy Orsmore says I got 4 boxes of 350 Legend, so naturally I have to buy a gun. LOL. Yep, exactly. So Tony says it doesn't really matter if you go pre-64 or not for an 1894. I do like the looks of the 1894. Like I said, I'll make a decision this summer. If I can't get a 336, if they're $1,500 or $2,000 or they're just like a unicorn, then. But I'll tell you what, I will say this: I have had really good luck on 2 guns now, or actually 3, even more. Where I'll just put in for the email notification from the company as soon as the gun comes in stock. I'll go to multiple online, sellers, different distributors, just that require an FFL transfer. I'll put in my email address that I want the gun as soon as it becomes available. And once the email shows up, if the funds are there and I want it, I will just go buy it. That's how I got the Beretta Tiger Stripe A300 Patrol. I got the email 5 minutes later. That thing I was already checking out with it. And sure enough, 30 minutes later, that gun was already sold out. So I did that with my PSA AKV back in the day when that came in stock after like 6 months of waiting. I got the OD green one, so I bought that right away when it showed up. My High Point, I got a notification that a Nebraska store got it in stock, and if I wanted it, I could buy it online and then go pick it up. So you just got to be, if you want these guns, these bucket list guns, I'm not trying to go to a different area, but I'm just saying like you want, that 336 or you want that Model 94, just put in for the notification from your favorite distributor, and when it shows up, just be ready to buy it. But I mean, a lot of people complain and say, well, I never get the notifications. PSA has always sent me emails. Maybe they go to your spam folder, but PSA has always sent me notifications on a gun when it's available for production. Frontier Justice in Omaha did that with me. Sportsman's Warehouse, not Sportsman's Guide, but Sportsman's Warehouse in Grand Island, Nebraska did that on my High Point. So you just got to be aggressive when it comes to getting those guns. You have to go out there and look around. You don't find it the first 5 listings on a Google site. Just keep working. All right. So, yeah.
How far, I know a lot of times we talk about collectible guns, like old antique type of guns. And obviously if we're talking about old Winchesters, how long do you think the shelf life is for being able to go to a range and fire somebody's original 1894 before they say, okay, this thing's 200 years old now, this thing's 300 years old now, I'm not going to let anyone ever shoot it again? Are there gun collectors out there that'll take it? Because, for instance, like Billy the Kid's 6-shooter, 100 years ago, you might have been able to go to a range and fire the gun that Billy the Kid used. Now, there's no way in the world a collector's going to let you shoot that.
Yeah, we had this discussion. Yeah. We talked about antique guns a couple months ago, and we were squibbing. I think he fired like an original. I can't remember what it was, like a Colt, maybe a Colt Navy or something like that, like an original 18-something's gun. And the owner that has it still shoots it. I think it depends on a couple things. One, is the gun safe to shoot? You don't want to take it to a gunsmith and get it inspected. Are there fractures anywhere in the frame? Is that gun noted for having issues? How's the headspace? Because Kingpin, I still take my Mosin to the range and shoot it, and it's almost 100 years old. My Mosin is a 1927 or something like that, and that thing's going to be in like 3 or 4 years. It's going to be 100 years old. And I still shoot it with modern ammunition through it. I'm using, I'm not running like high performance, hunting ammo, but that's not really the case with 7.62 by 54R. I'm running Tula through it or Wolf. It's a cartridge that's adequate for that gun. But you also want to make sure that the load you're shooting through that gun is not loaded to like modern specs or like modern hunting specs intended for newer guns. You want to make sure you're running an adequate load in that gun that's not going to destroy that firearm. Shot, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Like shooting different firearms?
I agree wholly, because of the simple fact that those weapons, you don't know the history of how much service they've had or anything like that. So if my modern firearms get the load that shoots the best in it, but my milsurps and older weapons, I'll start with the minimum and work my way up and watch my brass if it's a cartridge gun, or I'll just reduce the powder charge on it. My Moss, I went into a book that's called Military Arms. I think it's of the centuries, and it listed the 7.75 by 54 cartridge, gave the velocity, and the approximate chamber pressure. So that gave me a fairly good basis on the background for the cartridge itself. Learned that it shot 139 bullet FMJ, and I just worked with that, and that shoots fine. You know, it's 49.56 semi. So, you know, you got to do a little bit of history on that, and if you can, do some history on the weapon itself, and go from there.
Yeah, I think if you're shooting a period-specific load, you should be okay. I mean, just so long as, like, you know, if you're making up your own powder, make sure that you're following what. I'm sure you can find the specifications for that vintage load. I'm sure there's, like you said, there's probably books that publish like vintage firearm loading specifications. Because again, I'm sitting here thinking of like an M1 Garand, where you may not want to run, you know, modern 30-06, high performance, high power hunting ammo through that gun because it was never done before. You don't want to ruin the op rod if you're not running like an adjustable gas. So I'm just now some guys say, well, that'll never happen. I do that on my gun all the time. That's fine, but I'm just saying that this is something that's popped up in discussion. So, but it is a good question, Kingpin.
What about, I mean, you mentioned your Mosin going to be 100 years old real soon. When do you put it up, or do you run it until you can't run it no more?
Yeah, I just, you know, that's a good question, because here it is. It's a hex model. It's all numbers matching, and it's not even counterboard yet. And I just go shoot it just to enjoy it, just to have the experience. I put a couple rounds through it every year. I mean, from a metallurgy standpoint, unless it starts to fail or the headspace is starting to go, I'll probably just keep shooting it, enjoying it. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, those guns are all beat to heck, and they're still going up in value. You know, it doesn't matter anymore whether it's shot or not. I mean, it doesn't matter how rough it is, because there's a price people are paying for it. I probably should stop Kingpin at some point and just clean it really well, and then just kind of take it out and clean it like once a year or every 6 months, and just kind of keep it preserved. But then again, I mean, there's so many other ones out there. I could get another one if I wanted one. I could if I wanted to pay for it, you know. But if it gets to, I mean, yeah, I am taking chances by still shooting it, because I mean, who knows how many rounds it had through it before I bought it. But I've probably put 150 rounds through it since I bought it, which isn't a lot, but that's a lot when you're talking 7.62 by 54R. We're just playing at the range with something. I'll do a box here or there just for the experience, you know. The bad part is that Kevin Jung out there sent me the ATI Monte Carlo stock for it, which has a real thick rubber pad on the back of the stock. So now I could shoot that thing all day, versus the metal lined, you know,
that steel butt plate.
Yeah, the steel butt plate where it's like, oh my God, 10 rounds in, you're like, I'm such a weenie, you know. You don't want to shoot it anymore because you know it's going to be aching the next day, right? So, I don't know, man.
One other quick note that I'd like to make, as far as the differences in the cartridges, please consider this. If you've got an old firearm and it was, if it's a cartridge gun and it was produced way back when, don't use smokeless powder in that thing.
Yeah.
Use
nobody would.
Black powder.
Yeah.
I would hope nobody would, because those will not.
Black powder substitute? Is there black powder? Isn't it Pyrodex or something? Is there like a
Pyrodex
powder substitute you can buy?
Goax is your true black powder.
If you can even get that, you know, yeah.
You could take a 30-30 and load that son of a gun right up until you have the powder touching the bullet, but not crushing the powder. And you could shoot that all day long. You just got to remember to clean that thing thoroughly after you're done.
Tony York says, I have an 1898 and 1907 double barrel shotguns that I do not shoot. And that's just because you said they got the Damascus steel barrels, which you've got to be very careful with. But yeah, Kingpin, honestly, and here's the thing, Kingpin, I've noticed this. When you look up used Mosins, like really what really matters is just kind of numbers matching, the overall condition, how much rust does it have? And then also like the rifling in the barrel. Is the rifling strong? Has it been counterbored or not? Where they go back in and regrind the grooves. You can tell if it's been counterbored or not. And so, like, if it has been, it's not that it's a big deal. It just means that it was shot out a lot, that it's been refurbished at the armory to be usable again. I don't think it really matters with accuracy that much. But yeah, I mean, just looking at mine, it's like I've got a vintage piece here I'm still enjoying. So, yep.
I got four of those Mosin and the guns, 3 rifles and a carbine, and I like them, you know, except for that blasted steel butt plate. The thing will beat the snot out of you.
We're trying to get that ATI stock. You can buy them online. It looks like an elephant gun because you've got like 36 inches of like barrel hanging off the front of the stock, but it's so comfortable and it's just cool. Yeah, because Kevin had given mine a custom paint job on it, painted Travis P11 on the side of it and stuff, and put my little logo on there and everything. It's pretty cool. I've shown it off in one of the videos. I think I did an accuracy test with it. It's so much easier to shoot now. I mean, it feels just like a 308 when you shoot. I mean, it's very similar to 308, but I mean, it's very light, especially with that rubber butt pad on there. It's just like nothing anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I'm gonna take one of those rifle and put a choked, modern choked stock on that. Save the original stock.
Mm-hmm. There's that company, Lucky Shot Wood Stocks, that I bought a stock for my SKS from. They do different styles of stocks. They do like a Monte Carlo stock. They do a Dragunov style stock. They're making one now for the Mosin, or they've got a couple different stocks you can choose from that are handmade in the USA, wooden stocks. You get your choice of like a dozen different woods and finishes. And if you don't mind waiting about 4 weeks, they'll get you a stock. I think they're made up in Minnesota or something, but they do a wonderful job. And that way you can preserve your original stock. Now, you've also got the Archangel tactical stock you can get that gives you a box magazine once you put that on there. Those are probably about $150 for that particular stock, $175, something like that. Maybe they're more now. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of aftermarket stock support if you have a Mosin Nagant. Might even be able to get something like off of eBay. I know they used to sell the ATI stocks over on eBay and on Amazon back in the day. So Tony York with the mic drop comment of the day. 30-06 is the one round to rule them all. So there you go. All right, we're going to go ahead and call it, guys. We're going to wrap it up. We've been going for a little over an hour just talking about the past, present, future of Winchester Firearms. Maybe we'll talk about a couple different topics next week. I got some ideas, like our favorite guns we would trust our life to, handguns, etc. Maybe we'll bring High Point up as the point of discussion. I'm having fun looking at the past, the present, and the future of these companies, and kind of go from there. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it. We're going to let the panel go ahead and give us their final plugs. So, shout out to Squibload, who's heading off to Roll Call's wedding. So, Roll Call, congratulations, buddy. We're happy for you. We're rooting for you. And so anyway, Kingpin, anything you want to say before we go?
Just a big shout out to everybody in the chat and everybody that's been on the panel. I always enjoy Caliber Corner. So thank you, Travis. And everybody have a great day.
Absolutely, man. We will. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a cold day here in Nebraska, like in the high in the 20s, but you got to do what you got to do. All right. And Single Shot, anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, there's one shotgun that I'd like to see Winchester bring back. That's a Model 97. That's got a war history behind it, and it was a very dependable pump shotgun, unique design. So, I would really like to see that one come back. Other than that, everybody stay safe, Squib, on your travel, and congratulations to Roll Call 219. And hope to see you soon sometime, Squib. Take care. God bless. America moves by truck.
Absolutely, man. America moves by truck. Beard to Lunchbox says I have my Mosin and the Archangel, and I love it. Yeah, that's a cool option for you, just because it gives you more application, a little bit better ergonomics, more adjustability, and so on. All right, so let's give a shout out on the YouTube side to everybody watching today. Oh, I completely forgot to mention it. Last thing, real quick, while you guys are still watching, Thunder on the Prairie 2023. The listing is over there at nebraskashooters.com if you want to sign up for that event. It's going to be the first weekend in June. It's going to be a 2-day shooting event that's going to happen. We're going to have kind of a shooting contest on the first day and some open range time. And the second day is going to be an opportunity for YouTubers to sign up for a spot so they can film on a range, walk around, do their shooting. Everything's going to be completely supervised by SROs and so on, or RSOs. And so, so Thunder on the Prairie 2023. Go over to Nebraska Shooters. It's $25 per day. We are working with sponsors again to put together some awesome swag bags for people that attend. It's going to be a great time. Check out my channel. I've got details listed. We did a little live stream on it. I need to make a regular video and put it in the normal stream also. I think I'll do that this week, talking about Thunder on the Prairie 2023 and what it's all about, who's going to be there, what's going to happen. Spots are limited, but there are still spots available. And it's going to be a good time. So make sure you guys check it out. And there is, on my channel, there's merch available from it also. There's t-shirts and hats. Teespring is pretty slow to ship, just as a heads up. For some people, they get their stuff in a week. For other people, it can take 4 to 6 weeks. Just be forewarned about that. So if you want to get some merch for Thunder on the Prairie 2023, just be patient with it. And also, just to kind of talk about the prices, I have the prices turned down as low as I possibly can. to make the minimum profit margin that Teespring requires for it. So I'm making like $1.50 off the shirt. The problem is that we do have a discount code, but on some of the stuff, when you apply the 10% discount code, it puts it below the profit threshold, so the code doesn't apply. That's because the price is as low as I can possibly make it. Like for the hats, they wanted to sell the hats for like $29.99. I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend $30 on a hat. So I knocked it down to like $24 or $22.99, which was the lowest price I could possibly get that Teespring would let me sell it for. So just understand that if the coupon code doesn't work, it's because you're getting it at the lowest price possible. I'm trying to get away from the $60 hoodies. Although a lot of YouTube channels sell that stuff at full price or more, I don't think anybody should have to spend $45 for a t-shirt. I think that's ridiculous, regardless of what it's for. Okay. So anyway, that's it, guys. A little shout out on the YouTube side to Tony York, Bearded Lunchbox, Thomas Rees, Ozzy Orsborn. Abigail's out there also saying that she just clocked out, got to drive home. Be safe. 500 Magnums out there also today. We had the whole Squib Empire with us today, Squib Load and Squib Lift, the whole Squib Eye. Tactical Fud joining in, Kevin Jung, M. Gabriel. Let's see who else is out there watching today. The Armsman watching too. Oh, Armsman says that Savage bought the Honor Guard. That's it. Yeah, Honor Guard was the series that Savage bought, and they kind of redesigned it into their own pistol. Scott 79's out there today too. Let's see, Gunmetal Guy USA in the house. Mike is out there, says hi, yo. Let's see who else is watching. We got Kendrick 98 watching today too. Krabby Turtles joining us today. A lot of people. Defense Stat out there. Bradley Swayze's watching. GTP Productions. Fit and Fire's out there. Hey, good morning, Fit and Fire. Sorry I missed you earlier there, buddy. Kim Williams is out there. That's my mom. She's drinking Cafe Bustelo. Good stuff, good stuff. Tactical Fud's in the house. Travis T's watching. Firefighter 09100. Mountain View's watching today too. Woods in the house. Woods is with us today too. Tommy Gunn, Tacos and French Fries, M. Gabriel, Mountain View, and Kingpin. So that's it, guys. I want to thank you all for watching today. Let's see. I think everybody got a chance to give us your final plugs. And that's it. So join us next Saturday for Caliber Corner at 8 a.m. Central Time. We'll be talking about something fun. I'll try to get the topic posted this weekend for you. I will be doing my drawing for the monthly patron supporter drawings that I do. I didn't do one last month. I just haven't had time. So we will do one for March this month. It's going to be a good time. But in the meantime, I want you guys to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. Take care and have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.